I wanted to issue a quick clarification on something I said about the save forbearance ending because it caused a lot of questions. So what people were asking is basically this, with the save forbearance ending, I said that payments were going to be due as well, and that freaked a lot of people out. So what does it mean that the save forbearance is ending? Let me explain why I said what I said about payments being due. So when the save forbearance ends, August 1st, the interest subsidy is going to end. The 0% subsidy that folks have been getting since June 2024 will be over. Now, what about payments? When will payments be due? Now, the Department of Ed, basically through the White House has stated that they will be urging borrowers to switch to the income-based repayment plan at the end of the save forbearance. So technically, it is possible that the forbearance on payments would not end, but the interest subsidy would. Now, if that happens, why should that not matter to you? Let me explain. So the save forbearance has already lasted longer than a year. Anyone who's pursuing PSLF needs to realize that the terms of PSLF buyback for forbearances and deferments longer than a year, that means the buyback number is determined based off of what the tax returns were for the relevant times in question. So if it's less than 12 months, then it's the lesser of the payment before or after the forbearance. So that means the Department of Ed is already entitled to ask for your tax returns to calculate your PSLF buyback number anyway. So that means that there's no utility whatsoever in staying in the forbearance if the save forbearance part, if not the interest subsidy part, lasts beyond August 1. PSLF borrowers get no benefit from staying in it. For people going for forgiveness in the private sector, similarly, there's no benefit for somebody staying in forbearance for the save forbearance if the forbearance lasts beyond August 1 to get credit towards forgiveness. If anything, what's going to happen is you're giving up payments that would be lower now for payments that would be higher later. So there's no utility whatsoever in staying in the save forbearance past August 1 if you're going for forgiveness in the private sector. What about if you're paying back your loans? If you're paying back your loans, the 0% subsidy ends August 1, and you would be better off just paying down your debt or potentially refinancing if that's what you need to do. So what I'm saying is while technically, we don't technically know if payments will literally be due starting August 1, you should be treating them like they are because there's no benefit whatsoever in you writing out a forbearance that does nothing for you. So I apologize if I wasn't clear enough on that. I apologize if I caused anybody panic or anything like that. To be honest, my kids were in the background banging on the window and screaming, and I kind of got a little distracted. So I'm human too. So I think that the reality here is, people need to be ready to pay the save plan forbearance after the save forbearance ends, and know that there's a 90-day period where they're not going to report that to your credit bureaus if you are, basically less than 90 days overdue. So I think that people still have a little bit of time. People need to just realize that, you have to be ready to make payments because they could say it's all due. They could be super aggressive if they wanted to be, right? We don't really actually technically know yet what they're going to do. We technically don't know yet if they're going to be super aggressive telling people, hey, by the way, everything's due, switch now. So, I think that, to be honest, I want to be honest for a second here, and I apologize if this offends anybody, but I'm saying it anyway. A lot of people are sort of under the feeling that these payments are never going to happen again. People in the save plan forbearance a lot of times went through that 4-year COVID pause, and then they had another year of the COVID pause, effectively, with payments that were based off of 2018 and 2017 tax returns, or actually I should say 2018, 2019 tax returns. But people's payments in a lot of cases were zero from the save plan after the COVID pause ended, and then they were zero from the save plan forbearance. And so we're talking about a 6-year period of time, basically, where payments that were required were zero and interest accruing was basically zero. So there is a attitude by some people out there that is a little bit what I would classify as in denial, because this is a different administration. This is a very, anti-forgiveness administration. This is an administration that wants people to pay back their debts. The Congress just passed a bill that's very explicit about what they want to happen, and it would have been a lot more intense if it hadn't been for the Senate parliamentarian coming in and limiting it. So I think that people need to realize the era of the easy money save plan forbearance and easy money on student loans, that era is dead for the next 3 years. And the good news is you can still save money. You can still help protect your finances. You can still make smart money moves and smart decisions that get you closer to your financial goals and dreams, but you have to be realistic. And I think that a lot of folks that are, assuming the save plan forbearance is going to last beyond August 1, that's just maybe no different than just a straight up forbearance. What's the utility in that? The only utility in it is if you absolutely cannot afford to make payments because you're in dire financial straits. That's the only benefit of staying on it. So, just looking at a couple, comments real quick. So basically, the folks that have Parent Plus loans, right? You remember you're basically on ICR or one of the other IDR plans. Any of the IDR plans can qualify. Eventually, they're going to move you to the IBR plan. Now, people are asking too about the save plan forbearance. Does it say that if you have to show IDR information if the forbearance or deferment lasts longer than a year on the FSA website somewhere? Yes, it does. Use Google, use ChatGPT. Is on the federal student aid website where it says if it's less than a year, they lower the IDR payments before or after the forbearance. If it's longer than a year, they ask you for tax returns and question. So there's no benefit of staying on the save plan forbearance if you're pursuing PSLF. Some folks are saying, well, what if I need to get on ICR because I got Parent Plus loans and it's too expensive? What if I can't afford the payment? I'll tell you this, there's no such thing as no risk in this situation. If it was me and if it was my parent, I would tell them, get on ICR and get family to help you make that payment for the next, year or however long it is, so that you make sure that you get transitioned to IBR. Now, theoretically, you could wait until July 2020, right before July 2026 to switch to ICR to make sure that you're on the ICR plan before they do the transition from ICR to IBR. But that is a risk, and that is a risk anybody who chooses to take that risk would have to take themselves. I would not bless that as a strategy because it might not work. And I do not want to be responsible for ruining anybody's retirement, so I'm not going to tell somebody that, yeah, sure, that's okay. I'm just going to say technically, based off of the rules, we think it should be okay, but technically does not mean the same thing as the servicers executing it on time. So that's why the smart move is just, if you have Parent Plus loans, is just to get onto an IDR plan of any kind and suck it up and make the payments until they get ready to switch you to something more affordable. That's the general gist of my comments right today is just, I wanted to make that clarification about the save forbearance ending. It is ending. That means that they are going to definitely end the interest subsidy, and they're going to tell you have to switch to a new payment plan, and we don't know technically if they're going to enforce the movement to a new repayment plan right away. But even if they do not, there is no benefit to staying on any forbearance in this current environment. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Thank you all for following Student Loan Planner.